I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I put the mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns out with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's you lost, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed and
What up, YouTube? So this video is gonna be a little bit more laid back. Really don't have a plan for it today as far as what I'm going to film or what I want to film. I've got a lot of plans I want to get done in the shop tonight. It's been hot all day, so I don't know how long I'm going to be out here. So we're just going to hang out. I'm going to walk you through some stuff that I've been working on. If you haven't watched the last video, I've been working on cutting all the glass out of it. Got everything cut out but the front glass, so it's looking pretty good. I've went through here and I already cleaned up all the old urethane, most of it at least. That way I can actually sand all that down and paint all that with the car, and then we can lay new urethane afterwards. Been working on the front glass, so I've been working on this side. I got about to like right here in the middle, well, not really the middle, but it's pretty much loose on this side. I just got to work the other side, then go back and forth and find out where it's still held on at. And then I took the cowl off right here. Took the cowl off because I don't know, I really don't want to take the dash out of this car because I've taken one out of my old, I had one of these a long time ago and I painted it. I took the dash out and took the vinyl wrapper off of it, and it's all plastic underneath of it, and I fiberglassed it and painted it, and it's just, there's a lot of screws that go into these dashes, so I'm trying to cut this glass out without taking the dash out. So I'm really curious to see if I can actually possibly cut it out from inside the trunk area. So I've been working on that. I'm gonna finish going around it like I said, get that all done. But I have a customer coming tonight in a little bit, a couple hours, to pick up this piece that we did a few weeks ago. I don't know if I don't think I made a video on this, but this is his timing cover for his charger. He got a fully built motor that I actually painted the block on. It's a twin turbo motor that's fully built. It's supposed to do like 1,000 horsepower or something like that. And it's a full, it's like a, I think it's an 05 SRT. It's not an SRT charger, but it's fully custom. It's an old SEMA car that he bought for really cheap, and it had a bunch of issues. It's got air ride on it, the full custom interior, custom paint job, two-tone. So he's coming to pick that up because that's the last part that he needs in order to button up the motor so he can put it in the vehicle. This has been, I mean, I think he's been working on the motor part of it between getting it built and the stuff that I did for him. It's about 2 years. It took him over a year just to get the motor built, and then he brought it to me and I painted it, and then he's just been slowly buying parts because he's fully, everything on that motor is gonna be brand new, internally and on the outside of the motor, like accessories and things like that. So just painting some stuff for him off and on, little stuff. But I'm gonna jump on this Honda right now. I don't think I really talked about what I was using to cut this glass out of this thing. I know I showed you guys what tool I was using, but I don't think I really went over and kind of did a review on it because it's not easy cutting glass out by hand doing this. It's really, really difficult. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of strength to cut glass out because especially in older cars, the urethane, it gets hard by itself. Like when it sets up and gets fully cured, it gets hard. But with it sitting around and being a car that's set outside, and you know, it's a 2000, so it's 24 years old. So it, in some spots on this car, the urethane got like, it's almost like it's not brittle, but it got like rock hard in some spots. Usually urethane stays on the softer side. It doesn't get rock hard, but with this being an older car, I'm sure the weather and everything has a play to do with that as well. And being a daily driver, you know, this thing's got over 100,000 miles on it. It's still a low mileage car for this year. These things, you can't find one without rust on it, so it's really becoming a car that a lot of people want. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, you probably won't see these at all. You'll probably see the ones that people like the EM1s, the SIs that have the, you know, the B16s in them. But as far as just an EX or, you know, DX, HX, even the hatchbacks, I think are going to be like become a rare car. So that's why we're restoring this thing. But getting off on a tangent here, so I want to just kind of talk about a little bit, run you guys over with what I'm using. It's just, I think this is like a 14-inch blade, and it literally, it's kind of cheaply made, because I say cheaply because there's not much to it, right? I'm gonna grab my screwdriver here. This is all you need to undo this thing. It's literally held on by a screw, and that's how it holds the blade in. So you really just undo this screw on it. It's really, to me, it's really sketchy because you're putting so much force on this blade when you're cutting stuff out. It kind of moves, like it's not in there. You can see kind of it moving back and forth. It's really not secure that well. So, and obviously I've been beating on this thing, so normally when you take this screw out, this plate comes off, but I got to pick at it because I really was beating on the sides of it, trying to get some of these areas done. So I need to grab my pick. I don't know where I put it. This car is just filled with junk. I don't know where half the stuff is, so yeah, usually what I do is I grab a flathead or something like that, and I lift this up. It's got like a knob in here that goes into the blade that sets. So if I get under here, pop this thing off, and the blade just sits right in there. And this side I've been using, this top side I've been using a lot, and it's pretty much gotten dull because it's not cutting anymore. So what I do is, if I don't break these, because I've broken a ton of them on the back glass, broke like 4 or 5 of them, and I'm running low on blades, so I'm trying to not break as many. So when I get dull on one, what I'll do is I'll just flip it over, and I'll put it back in here. And there's a knob on this thing that goes in these holes that kind of, it's supposed to hold it, but I don't think it does a really good job of doing that. And then you get your screw wherever it went. You don't want to lose that screw like I just did. And it really just screws back in there. And that's pretty much it. Like, there's not much to this pan blade setup. Just, that's its own, how it locks itself in there. Like I said, it's pretty sketchy. You always want to make sure it's actually really tight. Because like I said, this thing, like now it's not moving so much since I got it in there. It's snug, but once you start pulling and start pushing the blade along, cutting, it gets really loose. So sometimes I'll actually go back and forth and tighten that screw up as I go along. So yeah, but this thing it's not bad. It's like I said, this thing's like, the handle itself, I think it was like 15 bucks, and then the blades were like another 10, I think, for a pack of like 10 blades. I think there was 10 blades in this thing. I'm not really sure. Oh, don't want them to fall out. It actually doesn't say how many's in here, but that's what they are right there on the box. Extra long utility knives. That's all they are. I know you can get those in store, but I went on Amazon, and that's where I bought them. So for like 30 bucks, for less than 30 bucks, you can have your own tools to cut your own stuff out. So it's relatively cheap if you want to do it this way, it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of effort, like I said. So I'm gonna get to cutting on this and I'll get back to you guys. There is a spot I want to do as well tonight, try to at least, on this hood. This is a carbon hood that I never re-cleared when I first bought it, and I don't want to get rid of this hood. I want to use this hood, but there's an imperfection in it. There's like a bubble right here that needs popped and then re-glassed and bodyworked, because I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna, since it's sun damaged, I'm gonna fix that spot and paint it the same color as the car. So this is gonna get painted, but I like the style of this hood. It's like an Invader hood, so it's really cool. When it was brand new, it looked really cool because of carbon and the car was silver. So it's just so sun faded that it needs painted. There's no saving this hood. I thought about just painting the inside of it and then leaving the rest of it, because the outside's not so bad, but there are spots on the outside like right there. So I would have to paint inside this line and it just would look funky. So I want to just paint the whole thing. So we got to fix that first. So that's one thing I want to get done tonight, as well as get this thing cut out. So this thing is probably going to take me another 2 hours to do, maybe less if I really hurry. This side came off really easy, like it cut really nice. It was like one swipe and it was already lifting up. So I want to try to get on that side of it and do the same thing going this way. And I'm hoping if I get the top of it done, the bottom will kind of release itself a little bit as I start cutting this down here, because this is going to be the paint of this car. This front window where this dash goes, because you don't want to nick your dash. I don't really want to cover the dash, and I don't want to take it out and like I said before, I don't want to take this, because if I end up nicking this, I'm going to end up taking the dash out, tearing the vinyl off of it like I did back in the day, and doing the body work and painting the dash. And then when I go down that rabbit hole, you go down that way of like, well, you might as well do, if you're doing the dash, you might as well do the door panels, and you're going on and you're repainting the entire interior of the car. And I've done that once, and when you do that, you have to, everything in here is plastic. So once you get the vinyl off and the carpet off and the spots that are vinyled and carpeted on your panels, you rip all that stuff off and it's just raw plastic underneath of it. And then the other panels are just plastic, they're hard plastic. So when you go down that route, you got to tear it apart completely, and then you got to just sand the crap out of it with like 80 grit and try to get the texture out of it, because every interior panel that's plastic has a texture to it. So you got to sand that completely, and it's a lot of work, and it's really cool when you get it done and you actually, you know, do the body work to it and primer it and sand it and primer it and sand it, and then get it really smooth, and you can paint it whatever color you want to paint it or put graphics on it. It's really cool once you get it all done and put together in the car. It just takes a lot of work, and I don't know if I want to add that much extra work. Down the road I might, when I get the outside of the car done. But I've also thought about, on my days that I'm slow at work, just, you know, slowly taking 1 or 2 pieces into work on my slow days while I'm doing the outside of the car at home, and then I can start prepping and primering all the interior pieces. I could do it that way too. I thought about that too. That way I'm doing kind of like killing 2 birds with 1 stone type of thing, because I would eventually, the interior in this car is really nice, besides it being really dusty and dirty from sitting in here for almost 2 years. Once it's cleaned up, it's like spotless. So, and that's one thing I loved about this car, is like the interior was kept really nice. So I really don't want to do that, but then again, if I go so crazy on the outside of it with repainting it and doing all this stuff I'm doing to it, and making it like a custom car that you don't see anymore, really, especially around my area. We just don't see these anymore. They're all rotted away. So if I go down that road, I mean, you might as well, it's like, well, did the outside, now you got to do the inside, you know what I mean? Where do you stop at? But these windows are going to be tinted so dark on this car that I might not do it anyways. But we'll see, because like I said, if I nick this dash, it's just so tight. So if I end up nicking this dash going from the outside inside, then that's the route I'll go. But I won't really worry about the dash right now, to be honest with you, as long as I don't have to take it out. I'll end up starting with like the side panels and the back panels that I took off in the back. I'll start doing those, and then I'll worry about the door panels and the dash later. But yeah, so I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna start on this side, cutting it, and then yeah, I'll pick you guys back up when I am pretty much almost finished. All right, I've been working on this front window for a while. I don't know what it is, but it seemed like around the edges and the top was pretty easy to cut out, even with the dull blade. But when you got down here at the bottom, where it meets the kind of the cowl panel right here, this urethane they used in here was super tough. I don't know what it is, if everything just settles at the bottom and it just gets super hard, or if they use a different style urethane down at the bottom to seal it. But it is totally ready to come out. But my knife has took a beating to where I was having to hammer on the edge to kind of get that blade across. It was so tough down here at the bottom that I could not pull it by hand. I had to hit it with the hammer all the way, and it just, I don't know if you guys can tell that right here, kind of from where the plate bolts into the actual handle where the blade sits, it's just totally cracked off. So, you know, obviously for what I say, 15 bucks I think is what I bought this thing for, this handle. You know, it lasted one car. I mean, I did all the windows with this one handle, so it's not truly bad. And I had one blade left over that I did not use right here, this one actually. So I got one blade left over in this. So like I said, for less than 30 bucks, if you know what you're kind of doing and, you know, really careful, you can cut all your glass out with, you know, less than $30 worth of stuff. So I'm gonna figure out where I need to put this windshield. I don't have another sawhorse. Actually, I do. I got some over there, so I'm gonna take that off, and I'll use one of those tables to put that on, or the trash can or something, and then I'll put this glass on that sawhorse. So we honestly didn't do too bad on the glass. There was a couple spots where the blade nicked it, and it kind of a little bit of chips here. But other than that, came out really, really good. So just be careful if you're going from the back way in instead of down inside the car. Your blade can chip your glass pretty easy. So you want to be careful with that. But the real test is to see what it looks like underneath all that glass we just cut out. That's going to be the real test of what this car is actually like underneath of it, because that's where most of the water is actually flowing to. Obviously, cars have drains where the water goes down and it exits out inside the bottom of the car, like around the fender area, around the back wheel, the quarter panel area, past the trunk. But everything else is collected inside that gasket that goes around the window. So let's take a look and see what it actually looks like. It's not actually too bad. There's a lot of gunk inside of here, but from what I see, the dash did not get nicked at all. The blade didn't hit it. Some of the foam got nicked and cut, but that's not a big deal. That's just there for cushion for the window, the glass to sit on. But there's really no rust at all. So that's a win. You know, a lot of times you'll see these cars and they'll just be rusted out through here. Obviously there's some surface rust right there, but they'll just be rusted out right here and need repaired. But this is actually really, really good. So pretty happy with that. And yeah, I'm gonna call it a night right here. It's about dinner time, so the hood I didn't get to, but other than that, the glass was the main thing that I wanted to get cut out. So that was the most important part of this whole thing, is getting that front window out, because now all the glass is actually cut out of it. Decklet's is already off. The hood's gonna come off of it eventually, but I need to get more stands. That way I can put the hood on it, and then the doors are gonna come off. But once those side skirts come in for this thing, I'm gonna really start getting to the body work, because of what I'm thinking is I'm actually gonna mold those onto the car, like I said. So the fenders and the deck, or the quarter panel is all going to get molded. Inside the door jambs all going to get molded. It's going to be all one piece, and I got to figure out what way I want to do that. I know exactly how I want to do it, but I actually won't know until I get the side skirts here, because they're fiberglass. If you know anything about fiberglass, sometimes you get a really good product, sometimes it's just trash. So until they get here, I won't exactly know if I'm going to have to cut the car, you know, or cut the side skirts, make them fit, dry fit them. Maybe I'll be able to take the original stock side skirts, panel bond them to the aftermarket side skirts. That way they can actually get bolted on from the inside the fender well rather than just molded on. That way they got a little bit more durability and stability, because they're pretty thin. The side skirt part, they're not like the bumpers that you can get. Side skirts, they come pretty thin, and anything that hits them on the road is pretty much, they're going to get destroyed. So I need to really reinforce them somehow. So until they get here, I won't know anything about that. So it's going to be about a week for that, I think, because I just ordered them a couple days ago, and they're coming from California. So it usually takes about a week or so for them to get here. So when those get here, like I said, I'm going to be jumping full on steam to get those actually on the car and fixed. And then when I have all that way I want it, I'm going to order the back bumper that I want. Just don't know which one I want, because I'm not going to put the factory back on if I'm doing side skirts, and I've already got the front bumper. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So next video you might see is a little bit of body work. We're just going to be hanging out, doing this every once in a while. So if you like this kind of stuff, comment below, hit the like button. That way we can get this thing starting to go and get this thing actually fully, at least all in primer, really quick once the body work's done. And then we can get this thing blocked down and get this thing, choosing the color, get all tore apart again, and get this thing painted. Because that is the big thing, is get this thing to where it's ready to be its final block form, and get this thing sanded and painted. And I'm excited for it, because it's came a long way. It's coming just that much more. Obviously it's going to take some time to do the side skirts and mold all that, make sure the body works good, make sure it's actually strong enough to stay on the car and not get torn off or anything like that, or destroyed while actually driving it, because it does sit pretty low. And it's going to sit that much lower because those side skirts are actually a lot wider than the factory ones. So it's going to look cool. It's going to completely change this car, and we're going to bring back the early 2000s with this. And this thing is going to be lasting another 10 to 20 years at least. That's my hope. And then we're going to put all new seals and everything on it, so it's going to be almost a brand new car, but it's going to be a custom car that you just don't see these anymore. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.